was a really shy kid, and I kind of outgrew it when I was in college, which was in the late 70s, early 80s. And I went to school in Philadelphia, and where I grew up, and I became a lab instructor for one of my classes in college. And one of my students was this young woman who was a student from Iran, and she was an exchange student, and she was really shy. She was really smart, and I kind of felt like she was a kindred spirit because I knew what it was like to be shy. And I did say she was smart, right? So I kind of took care of her. I took her under my wing, and I felt like I was a mentor to her of sorts. And back in those times, there were no VCRs, there were no streaming videos, there was no way to record a movie, and if there was a film you wanted to see, you just had to wait until it came to a theater. So I had read that one of my very favorite of all-time movies was coming to a local cult theater in Philly. It was Harold and Maude, which was good. And for those of you who haven't heard of it, it's this very dark comic suicidal romance. If you haven't seen it, you really should. And so that was coming to this theater, and I went to see it, and I was really excited because it was finally there. And I went into the theater, and the people who were in the previous showing were on their way out, and I saw this woman who was in my class, my student, and I went up to her and I said, "Oh my God, I'm so happy you're here. This is great. Don't you love this? Did you love it? Wasn't it great? My parents took me to see this when I was a kid. I love this movie. It's my all-time favorite." And she just sort of stared at me, and I went on and on and on, and I realized she was still staring at me, and I realized I'm badgering her, and I just said, "I'll see you in class." And I went in and I had a seat, and first they were showing some previews, and then they wanted the previews. Someone in the projection room made a mistake because they were showing a preview to Harold and Maude, and I thought, well, that's bummer. I want to see the movie from beginning to end. I don't want to know first. I want to see the whole thing, and then the movie started, and I'm watching, and I notice it's not looking familiar. And it's not sounding familiar. In fact, there were subtitles, and I'm watching, and I realized that it's not Harold and Maude. That was going to be on the following week. But what I was watching was some sort of Iranian porn flick. So I was really pissed off, and I left, and I was going to come back the next week. And then it dawned on me that I was standing there in the lobby with people walking by, and I was ranting to this poor student about, this is my favorite movie. My parents took me to see it. Don't you love it? Don't you love it? And, she was horrified, I'm sure. And once I realized that, I was mortified. And I ended up giving her a 4-point in the class. But when we never spoke to each other again.